Shouts of victory, I love it. So good morning, and welcome to a new week. Today is September 11th, which in 2001, 22 years ago, was an acutely painful day. And while it is now a day in American history that no current students were yet born to experience, it continues to have significance in our collective psyche that is important to recall and honor when there's an opportunity. So this morning, we're going to hear from Social Studies Chair and soccer coach David Eckhart, who will help us to remember the day by remembering his own experience of it. Please welcome Mr. Eckhart.
Good morning. So I'm the chair of the history department, and history really is a collection of stories. This is a quote from Ken Burns in which he said, "High story." There are a lot of ways of telling the story of 9/11. There are certain facts that we can't dispute, that there were 4 planes that crashed in the United States. We can't dispute that, 2,977 people lost their lives that day. And I think it's a really challenging thing as a history teacher and a historian, as a person who lived through it. I was born in the last century. Many of my colleagues were born in the last century. You all were born in this century and have no memory of the event, and I wouldn't expect you to. It weighs on my heart heavily, and I think it weighs on my colleagues' hearts heavily. So today I just want to tell you a couple of stories of some friends of mine who I lost in 9/11. So here you can see the World Trade Centers as they appeared on the morning of 9/11, 2001. Beautiful morning. And you can see the quote that I put on there that says, "To speak of the dead is to make them live forever." So part of my talk today is about the people I lost in 9/11 and those other 2,975 people who lost their lives. But it's also for all of us to think about, when we lose someone, you can keep them alive by speaking about them and remembering them and talking about them. So I ask you to do that. That is how history happens, is by talking about it. So I was teaching actually in Middlebury in 9/11, and I remember exactly what I was wearing. I remember the tie I was wearing. There are these moments in history that are so seminal that they stand out in your memories. And I bet you if you ask some of your teachers today what they were wearing, what they were doing, they can remember exactly what they were doing that morning. And those moments will happen in your lifetimes as well. So I just want to introduce you to 2 of my friends. The first is Alex Steinman. Alex is right here. That's me. That's my friend Tommy Harris at Tommy's wedding. I met Alex the junior year of high school. Alex is one of these guys, when you walk into the room, he commanded attention. He was the funniest guy I've ever known. He was hilarious. I drove across country with him in a VW microbus, and I can't tell a lot of those stories now. But one of them involves sleeping underneath the bus in Berkeley, California. Alex is a tremendous guy, and you can see him at graduation there, rocking the 80s style with the ladies with the 80s dues on. Wonderful guy, was working as a partner in Tower 1 on the 104th floor, lost his life. His wife was widowed, Tracy was widowed. The silver lining of that is she also married a 9/11 survivor, someone who lost their spouse in that, and moved on past it. Alex was remembered at my former high school at Suffield Academy when we put together a locker room in his honor. And there are lockers there, and there are plaques up there naming different people who were involved with it. So Alex is still alive in Suffield, and every day at Suffield, on 9/11, we go out and we ring the bell to commemorate Alex's life and what he had given, and other alums had passed on as well. So Alex is a great guy, and I asked you today to mention Alex's name. Mention him to me. It'll bring a smile to my face. Another person I want to talk about is a guy by the name of David Fontana. And I met David at a wedding, at his wedding actually, and he was incredible. He was a passionate man. He was a firefighter in New York. We started talking. He knew that I loved history. He loved history. We were planning on writing a book about his fire station in Brooklyn. And David, there you see him. It was his 11th wedding anniversary on 9/11. And he was about to sign off in about 15 minutes when the first plane hit. And David was not about to shirk from his responsibilities and his duties as a firefighter. So he got there, and he too tragically passed when the tower collapsed. So his wife, Marion, pictured there in the middle, wrote a book talking about her experiences with 9/11 and what it was like to be a widow during 9/11, some of the challenges she faced. And I went to each of their memorial services, and I guess I just want you to see that there's a real human face when we talk about all these people who passed on 9/11. So if people are upset today, that might be part of the reason. But I also ask you, as I said at the beginning, to speak of the dead is to make them live forever. So for me today is cathartic to talk with you because I'm allowed to talk about two great men in my life who passed away 22 years ago, but still have a significant impact on who I am. So I ask you to think about that, talk about the people who have passed in your lives, and remember your history. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Eckhart. So, if I had time, which it looks like I do have a few minutes, I haven't read a poem yet this year, but there is a beautiful poem by the poet Martín Espada, and it's called Alabanza, in praise of Local 100, for the 43 members of hotel employees and restaurant employees, Local 100, working in Windows on the World restaurant, who lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Center. And alabanza, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, means praise. Alabanza, praise the cook with a shaven head and a tattoo on his shoulder that said Oye, a blue-eyed Puerto Rican with people from Fajardo, the harbor of pirates, centuries ago. Praise the lighthouse in Fajardo, candle glimmering white to worship the dark saint of the sea. Alabanza, praise the cook's yellow pirate's cap, worn in the name of Roberto Clemente, his plane that flamed into the ocean loaded with cans for Nicaragua, for all the mouths chewing the ash of earthquakes. Alabanza, praise the kitchen radio, dial clicked even before the dial on the oven, so that music and Spanish rose before bread. Praise the bread, alabanza. Praise Manhattan from 107 flights up, like Atlantis glimpsed through the windows of an ancient aquarium. Praise the great windows where immigrants from the kitchen could squint and almost see their world. Hear the chant of nations, Ecuador, Mexico, República Dominicana, Haiti, Yemen, Ghana, Bangladesh. Alabanza, praise the kitchen in the morning, where the gas burned blue on every stove and exhaust fans fired their diminutive propellers. Hands cracked eggs with quick thumbs or sliced open cartons to build an altar of cans. Alabanza, praise the busboy's music, the chime of his dishes and silverware in the tub. Alabanza, praise the dish dog, the dishwasher, who worked that morning because another dishwasher could not stop coughing, or because he needed overtime to pile the sacks of rice and beans for a family floating away on some Caribbean island plagued by frogs. Alabanza, praise the waitress who heard the radio in the kitchen and sang to herself about a man gone. Alabanza. After the thunder, wilder than thunder. After the shudder deep in the glass of the great windows. After the radio stopped singing like a tree full of terrified frogs. After night burst the dam of day and flooded the kitchen. For a time, the stoves glowed in darkness like the lighthouse in Fajardo, like a cook's soul. Soul, I say, even if the dead cannot tell us about the bristles of God's beard because God has no face. Soul, I say, to name the smoke beings flung into constellations across the night sky of this city and cities to come. Alabanza, I say, even if God has no face. Alabanza, when the war began from Manhattan to Kabul, two constellations of smoke rose and drifted to each other. mingling in icy air. And one said with an Afghan tongue, "Teach me to dance, we have no music here." And the other said with a Spanish tongue, "I will teach you, music is all we have." Okay, stay dry, everybody. Have a good day. Thank you for your respectful attention. Faculty. Okay, seniors, have a good day. See you tomorrow. All right, juniors, have a good day. See you tomorrow. Juniors, please use all your means of egress. There's another door over here. The juniors took forever. Not sure what's going on there. Sophomores from the front, please. Have a good day.